Jacksonville won 13 games last season. Houston won 12. Now CJ Stroud has a rebuilt offensive line, but Trevor Lawrence has the division crown, and only one of them can win the AFC South.
We independently predicted every team's record. Our standings might look similar, but the margin and the one weakness that could flip this entire division is where this gets interesting.
Can Stroud take the South back, or will Jacksonville defend its crowd? But let's start with our fourth place team, and I have the Tennessee Titans with a record of 3-14.
Okay, you did worse than me for them. I went 4-13, and I thought that was low on my end.
Tennessee won only 3 games last season, but Cam Ward now has Brian Daboll helping his development and Robert Saleh running the team. How quickly can this rebuild become competitive? And obviously, I answered that with the big fat no. And the biggest reason why is I believe this season is Cam Ward's actual rookie season. Last year, he had a coaching change. He had Brian Callahan. He wasn't up to the task. And Cam Ward's rookie season just felt like a disaster because of all the environmental changes happening around him. This year, he has an offensive mind in Brian Daboll. He should, in my opinion, have a good head coach to run the team in Robert Saleh. I don't believe his Jets tenure was on Robert Saleh because it was the Jets. So for that reason, I believe that this is his actual rookie year. I will see a small jump, but not enough to kind of turn the tides.
So a small jump as in like him, not as in
Yeah,
team
as in
record.
him, as a development.
Listen, this team was so weird for me because I gave him one extra win. I think I gave him 0 wins within the division when I did my schedule. I'll be honest with you, I think they could be probably Indy once or twice. They could probably sneak out a win against one of the other top 2 juggernauts that we're going to talk about later. Their roster is better, right? Like they drafted Cornell Tate. They added, obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson. Their defense is going to be just naturally better when you have Robert Saleh coaching them, right? Led by Jeffrey Simmons for the most part. And like part of me thinks that like when I was doing them, I was a little bit harsh. Partially that because it could be a biased Colts fan speaking, as you could tell by my shirt. But yeah, no, I thought 4-13 was a little bit rough on my part. I thought they could get to 6 maybe, but at the end of the day, I thought you were gonna have 6 because of your highness on Robert Saleh though. But yeah, no, that was the big takeaway for me where I was just like, okay, I might have been a little bit too harsh, but like you said, it might be just like that transition period where the next year they'll probably figure their stuff out for the most part.
For me, what I would consider a successful season for Tennessee is that Cam Ward takes a step forward, because last year when you look at Cam Ward, he looked like a quarterback that doesn't belong. This year, I feel like the improvement that he needs to have is actually to be able to trust his players, because he has an improved wide receiver room, and also trust his play caller and offensive coordinator in Brian Daboll, because he did a really good job with Josh Allen's development. Brian Daboll was a pivotal part of the Josh Allen that we're witnessing today and during his time in Buffalo. And he also produced one good year of Daniel Jones in New York as well before shit went haywire with the New York Giants.
Yeah, no, like overall though, like, okay, so, but can you see this team finish better than the records that we have given? Like, we're going to talk about a third team. I feel like we're both going to have the same one, right? Without giving that a spoiler. I could definitely see them finishing third. I can't see them beating the other, my top 2 at least, but I could see them finishing third somehow.
For sure, 100%. And that just solely depends on, in my opinion, the jump Cam Ward takes. I think there's going to be a bigger jump. I think Tennessee will be a tougher team to beat, even though they'll have 14 losses, in my opinion. I think those 14 losses will be competitive and not blowouts. But literally, the one thing that will make this prediction wrong for me is that if Cam Ward actually really steps it up, and if that's the case, then yes, I could definitely see them finishing third in this division for sure. But as of this moment, the biggest reason is I view this as his actual rookie year. Yeah,
no, for me, it's pretty much, I like the coaching staff to help develop this team. That pretty much is the reason why that will prove us wrong, in my personal opinion. I'm not saying like, us proving wrong will be playoffs, but at least 7-10 record, I could see that happening for the most part.
Number 3, I have the Indianapolis Colts, and somehow, some way, I gave them a record of 10-7.
You are okay. Just a disclaimer. We're both Colts fans. You're way higher than me on them,
and that's fair.
I went with 7-10 with the Indianapolis Colts. I am wearing their shirt, and I am hurt by saying that they are 7-10. But when I went through this, there were so many question marks that I gave it a 7-10.
Indianapolis started off last season at 8-2, and then lost 7 consecutive games. So the biggest question is that which version of the Colts will we be getting in the 2026? Followed up by how will Daniel Jones play after coming off an Achilles injury? So far, it looks so good in training camp where Daniel Jones has been very effective and has looked like he is projected obviously going to be the week 1 starter, which is incredible rehab by him. And also in training camp, the headlines are that Daniel Jones looks like every bit of first half of the season Daniel Jones from the previous season. And obviously, when you look at that, the Colts were 8-1 at one point, 8-2 after the Steelers loss.
I'm gonna say this. I said in our AFC North video that there are some teams that I am confused about. One of them was the Pittsburgh Steelers in that video, which, by the way, you guys should check out. Indianapolis Colts, I'm not saying that because I'm a fan, is one of the most confusing teams I am looking at this year because of what they did last year, like you said. Not even just Daniel Jones. I'm like, what he's going to look like. You mentioned all that. I am not a fan of the depth of this team. Jonathan Taylor, yes, and rightfully so, got his contract and is the best player on this team, but I'm concerned about his backup options. As good as Seth McGowan, who is this year's rookie, I forget which round he got picked in, but drafted in, is beating the guy you drafted last year in the 5th round in DJ Giddens. I would have loved to see maybe go get a Najee Harris type guy just as a backup, right, for cheap. Alec Pierce who is now your new number 1 wide receiver. He hasn't practiced pretty much since March. That's a concern for me. And then defensively, you have probably one of the best secondaries in the NFL. Sure, top 5, you could even argue. Obviously, health aside. The pass rush. That defense is going to be good as Leatu Latu is going to be going. Right? The middle of the field, CJ Allen's already hurt as well. And you're relying on a rookie to be your main captain in the middle of the field. Right? But that's where all those concerns... this team could fight for the division. But also, like I said, alluded to my point earlier, this team could easily finish last in this division as well. And if they finish last in this division, they do not have their pick this year as well. So they are a team that should be going all out. Jobs are on the line as well.
Jobs are on the line. And we both believe that Shane Steichen is still a good enough head coach to get the job done. We just don't believe in general manager Chris Ballard, who gives us another year of evidence where he cannot fill out a roster properly or go out and make a move when his roster needs help, because his wide receiver room needs a lot of help at the moment. The biggest risk, I would say, for the Indianapolis Colts, obviously you mentioned a lot of it. For me personally, I think the biggest risk Chris Ballard is taking is trusting this defensive front without having like a main pass or a bona fide main game record. DeForest Buckner was one, but his age and injury history shows his decline. Grover Stewart is more from the run game. Leatu Latu hasn't shown that he could be the best defensive player in that
training
draft
camp,
yet.
though.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
But that for me is my biggest risk, is that defensive front. What is your biggest risk for the Indianapolis Colts if you had to pick one?
For me, it's just the weapons, like the options for Daniel Jones, right? Like, yeah, Tyler Warren is going to take another step forward. Jonathan Taylor, we're hoping is healthy. It should be Jonathan Taylor. I don't view Alec Pierce as a wide receiver 1. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the money he got. He's still an important piece of this. When they paid him, I expect, obviously, Josh Allen to take a jump, but I expected him to go get another guy, like a Keenan Allen, or even, like, not even, like, now, at this point of the offseason, or training camp, Keenan Allen at the minimum, but I thought maybe they could have gotten someone else, and that was potentially available as well. But I think when it comes down to it, it's just the depth pieces. For me, I think that's more of the risk, because so far in training camp, not just the Colts, a lot of teams having injured players. It's going to come down to the depth for the most part.
Obviously, the obvious biggest risk is Daniel Jones' Achilles and how healthy he is. But final question for the Indianapolis Colts.
No, let me ask you this, because you're the one with 10-7, because I know the question you're going to ask. How would you see them getting into the playoffs? Because clearly I don't, because I have a 7-10. Well, obviously, I want to be wrong.
I could, like, 10-7 is not guaranteed either.
Yeah. But I'm saying, how did you get to 10-7 is what I'm saying.
How did I get to 10-7 is that I do believe in Daniel Jones. I believe in Jonathan Taylor.
You didn't think you would say that sentence like
I actually never thought I would say that, but I actually do believe in Daniel Jones. I do believe his play started to regress because he had a fractured leg, which led to an Achilles injury later on. I believe in Jonathan Taylor. I believe in Shane Steichen. I do believe that offense, even with limited wide receiver weapons, can still play like how they did in the first half of the season. As long as Josh Downs is on the field, I think Alex Pierce will come back and still do his thing. I think Tyler Warren is going to have like last year, I think Tyler Warren is going to have an incredible first half of the season.
Shane Steichen was unpredictable at the beginning with his play calling, right? Usually you go conservative big play. He did the reverse. Obviously got caught on, which was a big factor why you could see other teams realizing that's what he was doing. So can Shane be obviously the mastermind that he is, but also keep it simple at times as well?
And then defensively, I think they have enough to keep stable. I don't think it's like the Bengals defense from last year or the Cowboys defense from last year, because this team actually does have a bona fide strength. And at the end of the day, if Buckner and Grover Stewart remain healthy, like that is a still decent enough physical front to have. And with Lou Anarumo, it's not Gus Bradley, so that's obviously a huge positive sign. When I'm looking at their schedule, I think they could hang with teams that are either obviously at the same level as them and or below them. Every single game that there was a team I viewed definitively better than them, I put them as a loss.
Okay.
So there's like teams like in the NFC East. Like I don't think the Cowboys are definitively better. I don't think the Commanders are definitively better. So I kind of have them, in the conversations there. And obviously I have them better than the Giants. I have them better than the Titans. So I'm giving them wins there. That's how I got up to 7. But it could also be my bias talking as well.
You mean 10, but
or 10.
Yeah. No, for me, for them to get to the playoffs, to answer the question, health. Can Daniel Jones just keep making plays? And then defensively, Latu takes a huge step as that number 1 defensive guy that he got off the board overall.
Number 2, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 11-6.
I got the Jacksonville Jaguars, so we obviously have the same top 4. Same rank order of the 4 at 9 and 8 though. I'm not as high on as like many others are.
Jacksonville won 13 games and ended last season on an 8-game winning streak. But repeating that success may be harder than reaching it for the first time like they did last year. My biggest concern for them not being able to fully replicate what they did last year, which was win the division, was the loss of 2 big pieces. One was Devin Lloyd, who played like an incredible linebacker last year, and number 2, Travis Etienne, who refound his game and was a bona fide weapon for them.
Correct you. His name is Etienne now. He wants to be pronounced Etienne. I think going forward, you gotta make that. You gotta be. It's gonna be hard, but we gotta make it. Travis Etienne.
Travis Etienne, obviously confused with Devin Etienne.
So, I guess the question is why we have him second this year. Ultimately, the lack of run game a little bit. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on Tootin to take the step forward. I don't know if I fully buy that as well on the offensive side. Defensively, they added technically full time now, if healthy, Travis Hunter, which obviously he'll get sprinkled into offensive plays. Listen. I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy since his days from Clemson. You've always been a little bit skeptical of him during his after his 3rd year on, right? We're not counting the Urban Meyer year. Obviously, his 2nd year, he was amazing. Last year, his second half of the season was amazing to the point where he got to the MVP conversation, right? I think he ultimately ended up finishing 3rd, I believe, but he was in the top 5 finalist mix. Can he maintain that again, right? Like, you obviously have a great play caller, a great head coach proven last year in Liam Cohen. So that's the big question for me when it comes to Trevor Lawrence outside of the run game. Can he be consistent? Because we thought we saw the Trevor Lawrence from Clemson in the 2nd year, but then he took a step back to the point where last year when we did our preseason quarterback rankings, you fought for him to be in like average or like just, I think it was average we had him at. Obviously this year when we did it, that video will be coming out soon so you guys will find out where we put him. Spoiler alert, he's not an average. But ultimately the question mark for me is the points you said, plus do I believe in the consistency of Trevor Lawrence to be what he was last year to continue, or was that just the second half magical run that he had, which he should have probably beaten the Buffalo Bills, to be honest, in the playoffs as well? To me, that's where I'm skeptical at. Ultimately, I do think they're still going to be a good team. They're going to be in the conversation. I have them at 9 and 8.
I think 9 and 8 is a little bit low, in my opinion. I think this team is still very, very good. I think that this defense is still solid enough. They still have Trayvon Walker, who has improved his game as his career has went on. They have Josh Hines Allen as well. At linebacker, they did lose Devin Lloyd, but they still have Foyesade Oluokun and their secondary has solid enough pieces, and their DC is coming into his second consecutive year. Obviously, his first year was a massive success as well. But the big question for me is going to be Liam Cohen, and not necessarily because of Liam Cohen. It's just because, will it be deja vu? Because when Trevor Lawrence had a successful season in year 2, it was Doug Peterson at the helm, and then he fell off. Coach and player both fell off. So we'll see if that is the case for Liam Cohen. In my opinion, it's not, because I have him at 11-6.
Yeah.
I do believe in Liam Cohen.
I'm
I do believe the culture that he has made.
I'm expecting a BTJ bounce back for you as well.
But
obviously, I have Jacoby Myers too.
Even if it don't get a BTJ bounce back, it's not an issue, because Parker Washington was absolutely incredible last year. Jacoby Myers was a huge plus for them. If a BTJ bounce back could propel this team to top of the division potentially as well, because that wide receiver trio could be considered one of the best in the NFL if he does bounce back like how he played in his rookie year. But overall, I do believe that this team is still very, very strong, even though they lost 2 big pieces.
Yeah, I know. Ultimately, the final thing from me is it's just a gut. At the end of the day, we're making predictions. Sometimes you got to go with a gut feeling. I know there's many people who I listen to that do this professionally, analyst-wise, that are very high in Jacksonville, even higher than what you have them at. I just have a weird feeling that it's going to be a step back this year, and that's where I'm going with it. But I'm also clearly who our division winner is. We're going to talk about them next. I am very high on them this year, as much as I hate to admit it, because that defense is legit, and that's a big reason why I have Jacksonville below our number 1 team, who we're going to talk about.
The Houston Texans are our both winners of the AFC South. I have them at a record at 14-3, and so far as of this moment, they are my AFC winners, but we also still have 1 division left to go in the AFC.
Mine is also 14-3. I thought when you went higher on the Jags, I thought you had these guys at 12, but yeah, no, I also have them at 14-3.
Houston's defense is already championship caliber. The biggest question mark is CJ Stroud. If he rebounds, the Texans might not just win the South, they could become one of the AFC's most dangerous teams, aka they could be AFC's representative in the Super Bowl. And literally, we already said it. Don't need to say it again. Everybody and their mother knows that this Texans defense is top 1. If it's not your number 1, it's definitely in your top 3, and it's definitely Super Bowl caliber. There's only one question we need to talk about here, and that is the main man himself, who cut his hair, is CJ Stroud. Has a rebuilt image. Can he play like the rookie season CJ Stroud? Because rookie season CJ Stroud was MVP caliber almost, in my opinion, the way he performed in his first year of his career.
This team does not need rookie year CJ Stroud to get to the promised land. They just need at least what Sam Darnold did last year type of level. They need an above average to a good, solid QB play. Rookie year CJ Stroud was borderline elite, right? He was great to elite in that tier of quarterback rankings that we always do. Why will I think he will have that success? This year, 2 things. 1, the O-line should be improved, in my opinion. Just because you address something doesn't mean you address it properly. I think they kind of addressed it properly, and I'll let you talk about the O-line a little bit more. For me, last year, huge lack of run game. The year before, yes, CJ Stroud wasn't the greatest the year before, but he wasn't as bad. But Joe Mixon helped carry the load a little bit for that. Last year, Joe Mixon was out for the whole year. This year, this guy, he might not be the running back 1 that Joe Mixon played that year, but part of that Sonic and Knuckles crew over in Detroit, David Montgomery, during his Chicago days, he was kind of the one, right? He kind of split reps there too a little bit. Then obviously, but with Jahmyr Gibbs, he split a lot until Jahmyr Gibbs took more and more. Ultimately, Jahmyr Gibbs became the highest paid running back as we're recording this. David Montgomery's going to provide more running back help compared to last year. Let's just be real. And that should help CJ Stroud overall in that sense as well. And you're going to have, hopefully, Tank Dell back because he's been on the field now. And you're going to have Nico Collins. Can one of their young guys that drafted last year, Noel or Higgins, emerge as the number 2?
And they were pretty good last year as well. They don't need to worry about number 1 and Nico Collins. But those are reasons why we believe that CJ Stroud can bounce back. It doesn't need to be necessarily be a bounce back from all the way up to his rookie year, but it's the bounce back from being a pretty garbage quarterback to a guy that can do enough for his team to win the game. But as we mentioned before, that this defense is complete. And if CJ Stroud does bounce back like that, where do you view the Houston Texans in the Super Bowl conversation?
Bona fide Super Bowl contender. I
Up
hate
there
to
with
say,
the Rams, I'm assuming, as well? Seahawks, Rams.
Okay. Yes. I still have the Rams. Spoiler alert, I will have the Rams as the favorites, but they're in that Seahawks tier, in my opinion, as long as they get proper quarterback play. Let's look at this. They're the best defense, in my opinion, not just on play, but on talent, right? They added Reed Blankenship on top of this defense. They added Jadeveon Clowney for depth on the pass rushing. They were united with Jadeveon Clowney, essentially was their former first overall pick. This defense is legit scary, right? Denver almost got there if it wasn't for a Bo Nix injury. This team should have gotten there last year if CJ Stroud didn't shit the bed against the Patriots.
It was pretty awful.
And the Seahawks, look at how they dominated with, like, Sam Darnold during the playoffs was amazing. Regular season, you saw the ups and downs a little bit from Sam Darnold. CJ Stroud does a little bit of that. There is no definitive answer in the AFC right now. Let's be real. Like, you would think the Chiefs would bounce back. You would think the Ravens will be bouncing back this year specifically. On paper, they should be the best team to get to the Super Bowl. Maybe even Buffalo, whatever the case might be. New England, because they upgraded their roster from last year. They got to the Super Bowl last year. Houston has every bit of chance to get to the Super Bowl, and I will not be surprised if they do get the job done overall. Actually, I will be a little bit because LA Rams are that good. But if everything is healthy, at least an AFC representative, there should be up top 3 favorite, in my opinion, to get in there.
If CJ Stroud is good, there is no holes in this team. And even if you want to look at holes, there's very, very minor. And even if you want to look at the coaching staff, there's no holes there as well because D'Amico Ryans has done an incredible job so far. So that wraps up our AFC South predictions. My division standings go from the Titans at 3-14, the Colts 10-7, the Jaguars at 11-6, and then the Texans at 14-3.
I have the Titans 4th at 4-13, the Colts at 7-10. Then I have the Jags 2nd at 9-8, and ultimately the Texans runaway favorites for me at 14-3.
For me, the division ultimately comes down to if CJ Stroud plays like an average to above average quarterback. If he can't and plays like how he did last year in the playoffs, I could very well see the Jaguars winning the division. Do you have any caveats for the Houston winning the division or not? Do you think it's just bona fide them even if Stroud plays like shit?
No, I think to win the division?
Yeah, to win the division.
I think they should still be the favorite.
Even if Stroud doesn't play good.
I like I said, I'm not as high on Jacksonville this year, so clearly, like if this was last year, obviously different story, but I still think these guys should be enough to win the division. Maybe not if Stroud is shit, maybe not 14-3 like how I have them, but I think there should still be, that defense is that legit that they should be able to carry them to some wins.
So you have Texans locked in fully. I still have the questions about CJ Stroud a little bit, but that's everything about the AFC South. If you guys want to see us predict the AFC North, that video will be popping up on screen. We'll catch you guys over there, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.